So you guys remember when Trump was inaugurated and he declared the official position of the United States that there are only two genders, male and female.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I know I thought that maybe this would be the beginning of the end of this gender madness, that perhaps we would start to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe in some ways that has happened, but this issue is far from over, not even close. Girls are still dealing with this stuff in their sports and in their bathrooms and in their spaces, and boys and girls are still being manipulated by woke parents into sacrificing their minds and bodies to the gender cult. And people in positions of authority are using their power to make sure that this stuff never, ever goes away. It is absolutely wild, but these kids need us to know that this is still happening and they need us to keep talking about it. So that is what we are going to do today. We are going to get into some things that I'm pretty sure are going to make your head explode, but stay for it because we need to know this is going on. But before we touch on these topics, my name is Outspoken Samantha, and I would love it if you would hit the thumbs up button on this video and subscribe to my channel, and also ring the notification bell so that you never, ever miss out on an upload. So today, once again, we are diving into the continuing, absolutely maddening issue of men competing in women's sports. I do have an entire playlist on this issue, on this matter, which I will link in the corner of this video if I can figure out how to do that, because I'm not exactly tech savvy, but I will make it happen. And in the description box, I'll put it there as well so that you can see more examples of this insanity and just how crazy this thing has been over the last few years. Because as we know, it is not just a controversial issue. It's not just unfair. This is robbing our girls of their hard-earned victories, putting girls and women at risk, and it's robbing boys and girls of their identities by causing irreversible psychological, emotional, and developmental damage by parents, teachers, sports coaches, therapists, and doctors who would rather score points with the progressive woke mob than protect children's well-being and foster a healthy development for them in all of these ways. And not only that, it is totally based on lies, which is something we will get more into towards the end of the video. But first, let's look at a few examples of how this insanity has continued to play out and how both boys and girls are being victimized by this depraved anti-science, anti-truth, and anti-humanity ideology. First, meet Marissa Rothenberger, who is a male who is dominating a girls' baseball league. I believe this is in Minnesota. So this guy offered an overall analysis of this whole situation and just how bad this has been for every single team that has been forced to play against this individual.
Meet Marissa Rothenberger, a male pitcher absolutely dominating girls softball in Champlin, Minnesota.
And the pitch. Rothenberger back in the fifth. Swing and a miss here first. 0-2 pitch. Strike.
Rothenberger, at 6 feet tall, appears to tower over his female competition. In this game on May 6, 2025, he threw 7 strikeouts and shut out the opposing team. Apparently, Rothenberger's batting against average is .128, meaning opposing girl players only hit 12% of his pitches, which is considerably better than elite MLB players. He recently had an absurd 14 strikeouts in a single game. What was really amazing was listening to the dense male announcers as they gush about Rothenberger's wingspan and how hard he throws it.
See how she whips it? The long arms is just such an advantage.
Wow.
The whip action of that long arm for Rothenberger.
He's a boy, guys. Get it? He's male. And it's cheating. Stop gushing. The male coach who coaches Rothenberger was gushing too.
Our pitchers do a phenomenal job. We have Marissa Rothenberger. They keep us in every game.
What's not to like about having a male ringer on the team? Except it's cheating, of course. Rothenberger is apparently hoping to get recruited onto a women's softball team in college somewhere, and I found his profile on recruiting sites. But hopefully this helps expose the cheater before he can cheat any more girls out of their opportunities, scholarships, and victories.
So every single girl pretty much that goes to swing the bat against this guy's pitches is striking out. Nobody is able to do anything because he is on their team. But It's interesting, as this gentleman pointed out, the announcers are clearly delusional as well, because they're admiring this person's long arms and wingspan and strength without acknowledging the fact that the reason their arms are so long and their wingspan is so impressive is because it's a dude. It would be impressive if it were a girl shaped like that, but it's not. And if you put this boy up against other boys, it would not be impressive. This situation is only impressive if you are somebody that lives in total denial of reality. And I find it really interesting how everybody in that stadium, all of the girls that are playing against this person, all of the girls that are on the team, whether they want to or not, the coaches, the announcers, everybody in that field is expected to go along with this insanity. Nobody is allowed to say anything. And for those of you who operate solely on your feelings, how about all of these girls who practice for hours and hours every week, who work hard, sacrifice sleep and a social life to pursue what they're passionate about and the talents that they have, only to have that work completely annihilated because all of us have to just sit back and think about how this boy feels. Everyone in the stadium either has to keep their mouth shut or praise this person so that we don't make the mentally ill individual feel bad. And don't get me wrong, this young man absolutely deserves compassion. He is a human being and he has rights. He has the right to exist, and he does exist. He has the right to get help and to be encouraged to love the body and his mind that he was blessed with, and to have people in his corner who want him to be grounded in truth and reality, and to not set him up for failure and self-loathing later in life by lying to him and telling him that he's actually a woman. But clearly he does not have that in his corner. He has activists in his corner. He has narcissists in his corner, and he has ideological lunatics in his corner, and he is being used and abused by them as well. It is a horrible situation overall. So next we're going to look at a situation in California, because of course it's California, because this is primarily an issue in blue states. You know, the ones who think they've hit their peak on women's rights because women can kill their unborn babies. So they just tell women to stop complaining because apparently this means they have all the rights in the world there. I mean, what are women whining about? Who cares if boys are dominating your sports? You can kill your unborn baby. What more do you want? Anyway, this was a track event where a man, we're not saying biological male anymore, we're just men, women, boys, and girls. This young man dominated this track event, and you can hear people in the crowd yelling, "That's a man," because that's the truth.
That's a boy! That's a boy! That's a man, man!
Now, if that wasn't bad enough, this young man, this is his mom, and she took to social media before this event to gaslight everyone. So we're going to watch what she had to say, but you guys are going to want to take a deep breath before you listen to this, because you're probably going to want to throw something after hearing what she had to say. I promise. Everybody take a deep breath.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nereida Hernandez here, and I am A.B. Hernandez's mom. Just wanted to take a moment to thank our athletes. Thank you for not letting the outside noise distract you from your passion. I am truly inspired by your dedication, your support to one another, your love, your inclusiveness, and the way you look up to A.B. for guidance. Thank you. That's truly admirable. Also, a gentle reminder, please be cautious on the shirts you will be wearing. They could be a potential violation of Education Code Section 200 for bullying or harassment. And I wouldn't want anyone disqualified for, the negative influence from outside voices. And don't sit out. Do not sit out, because you are only hurting your own chances of placing and succeeding. What better way to respond than the same way that AB did, with positive sportsmanship when she first started? You have to remember, this is AB's third year in track and field. She has worked incredibly hard to earn her place. Remember, she didn't start at the top. She currently holds third place in the state of California for triple jump. Why? This is because she showed up and she never gave up. And that is one of the things I truly admire about my baby, that she's so persistent. With that being said, keep going. Give it your all, and good luck to all of you.
Him, boy. This woman is a bully. She is silencing everybody else's speech by saying don't wear a shirt that talks about women's rights or biological reality on it. I wouldn't want to have to report you and have you disqualified from this event. And she's also telling them that they can't take their own stand against this by sitting out. They can't protest by taking a knee, because if they do, they're just hurting themselves. Don't listen to your own parents who are trying to teach you to stand up for yourself. They're just wrong. They're the ones trying to hurt you. And my baby narcissistic boy didn't win and didn't achieve these things because he's a boy. He did it because he dedicated himself and he worked hard. And if you don't show that same level of dedication, that it's your fault that you're failing, not because my sweet baby boy is jumping into this event and taking your opportunity away from you. Lady, you're the one hurting their chances. Your narcissism and your mentally ill son that you are clearly exploiting, because you knew that if you put your mediocre athlete against people his own size, that he'd lose. You have so little faith in your own kid that you feel the only way that he can win is if he competes against girls. You're the problem. If there was an award for the worst mother, not just of the week, of the month, or of the year, but in the entire universe that extended across all time back to the age of dinosaurs, ma'am, you'd win first place. Yeah! You and Casey Anthony should hang out. So we need to hear from the victims of this stuff, because people like this mom and every coach, teacher, therapist, politician, or doctor who thinks like this, they don't get to silence these girls and pretend that they're not causing unimaginable damage, because the damage is extensive and it is irreversible. So back in March, I posted about this on my Facebook page. There was a fencing athlete who, when she found out she would be facing off against a boy, she did the brave thing and she took a knee and she refused to compete, because she's not going to be bullied by immoral, deranged lunatics like that last mom. And this is Stephanie Turner, and she's going to describe what happened.
There's nothing for me and there's everything for him, because I have no choice as a woman, as a female, in where I compete. I am a woman and I have an athletic disadvantage to men. Initially, I told them that I was refusing defense because this person isn't a man and I am a woman and this is a women's tournament, and I refused defense on principle. My opponent was a little bit confused, thinking that I was maybe hurt. And I said, no, I am refusing to fence you because I'm a woman and you are a man. I have much love and respect for you, but I will not compete against you. His response was, okay, but there's a member of the board of directors here and he supports me. And there's a policy that says that I'm a woman and I'm allowed to compete in the women's tournament. And if you do this, you're going to get blackcarded. And I said, I know.
And it's so important to hear what she said. As a woman, she doesn't have a choice. Ironic, isn't it? There isn't another league or team for her. She's on the women's team because she is a woman. As a man, you already have a men's team. And if trans people are so concerned about fairness, create a trans team. But I bet these athletes, as soon as we did that, the number of athletes interested in competing as a trans person would drop significantly, because these boys would not have the advantage that they need in order to win in these sports, because they would not be able to compete against girls, and being forced to compete against people in their own size would lose its appeal, because then they'd have no chance. But as usual, it's always women who are expected to suffer for this stuff. And it primarily comes from the people who claim to be about women's rights. But this was Stephanie Turner. She did testify to the Doge committee about this situation and talked about the culture of intimidation against women that exists in her sport.
My favorite part of fencing is the competition, the thrill, the fight, the triumph, and even the heartache. But lately, fair, female-only competition is harder and harder to come by. USA Fencing has over 200 self-declared members who identify as transgender. Each time a man competes in the women's category, with USA Fencing's support, it removes fair sport and takes opportunities from women. Fencing is a combat sport, a martial art of sorts. There are elements of speed, power, reaction time, distance control, footwork, and blade work, all attributes affected by sex development. It's not uncommon for a quicker, more athletic opponent to overcome the technique of another fencer. Athleticism is powerful in fencing and works in equal parts with strategy and technique. It's unbelievably demeaning to female fencers to put down the differences between men and women and any woman's loss to a man as a skill issue, or that a woman simply needs to work harder. Within the USA Fencing authoritative body, there is a culture of intimidation towards women, which demands that we be silent when men enter our tournaments. A culture that includes public humiliation, doxing, social ostracism, dismissal, and even threats. I went from avoiding tournaments with known male athletes to reaching out to news outlets to get this story known. The USA Fencing, up until my protest, has been unresponsive to women's demands for fair fencing.
And she said that there are 200 registered trans athletes in this fencing area. So to me, that means there's enough people to create its own section, its own league for trans athletes. That seems fair. This is absolutely unreal. But as I said earlier, I wanted to touch on how this is all based on lies. So this is a book by Deborah Soh, who is a neuroscientist who specializes in gender, sex, and sexual orientation. It is called The End of Gender. And she talks about her life in, medical study, in medical experience and research, and how it took a very different path than she expected when she noticed in her own field that ideology and politics were taking place over science, and intimidation became the determining factor of what was studied and what outcomes were produced. So I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs from it. It says, biological sex is either male or female. Contrary to what is commonly believed, sex is defined not by chromosomes or our genitals or hormonal profiles, but by gametes, which are mature reproductive cells. By contrast, gender identity is how we feel in relation to our sex, regarding whether we feel masculine or feminine. Gender expression is the external manifestation of our gender identity, or how we express our gender through our appearance, like clothing and hairstyle choices and mannerisms. Similar to sex, gender, both with regard to identity and expression, is biological. It is not a social construct, nor is it divorced from anatomy or sexual orientation. Despite what contemporary scholars may have you believe, all of these things are very much linked. Biology, not society, dictates whether we are gender typical or atypical, the extent to which we identify as the sex we were born as, and the partners we are sexually attracted to. And then just over in this part, it says, in a time not too long ago, biological explanations were used to suggest that women were bad at math and belonged in the kitchen. A woman's only value was bearing children and helping her husband succeed. Thankfully, times have changed, but biology remains stigmatized, unable to shake its former reputation. It is seen as inherently sexist, and even contemporary studies using biology-based methods are being dismissed as antiquated without a second thought. In an attempt to correct for past wrongdoing, scientific organizations, new academic studies, and experts in the field have taken to overcompensating, actively burying any links to biology's relevance, and claiming the scientific consensus says one thing when it actually supports the opposite. Biology has been equated with bigotry and is, in turn, being scrubbed from existence. In popular culture terms, biology has been canceled. Watching the pace of this science denialism spread, including claims that there is no such thing as being biologically male or female, or that biological sex isn't a coherent concept, has been astounding. In today's climate, gender has been branded as an ephemeral, intangible thing, something that can't quite be described or explained beyond one's personal experience and self-identification. Biological sex is now worrisomely following suit. These efforts, however, are unnecessary and short-sighted, because denying biology will not help us live more productive, meaningful lives. Instead, hiding the biological facts only sends us back to the dark ages to stumble around, rediscovering what we already know. So it goes without saying, this stuff is not based on reality of any kind. It is based on theories developed by sick and twisted mad scientists like Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld and Dr. John Money. It is being used to destroy this country, to destroy families, destroy communities, destroy men and women, destroy reality, and destroy every moral fiber of our existence. It is being used to destabilize society and dehumanize us and to dehumanize ourselves. And when you hear the ways that girls and women are losing out and the way they are being bullied into silence and being intimidated into just going along with what these men want, just remember, all but 2 Democrats voted against the Protection of Girls and Women's Sports Act. Yeah. This is probably one of the leading issues that has caused so many people to leave the left, because they see how wrong and depraved this is. It is an 80-20 issue, but the left has chosen this as their hill to die on for whatever reason, and they are pushing it now harder than ever. But that is all I have for you in this one. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please, again, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to my channel and help me to grow this channel. Share this with anybody that you think might find it interesting. Other than that, keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.